Coach Ballgame, thanks for joining us today. Go ahead and say hey to everybody.
Atta boys and atta girls. Hello.
That's so great. I'm excited for this question. My favorite question to ask on this show is the first one we ask every week. And it's before we get to all the things you do, it's to let a parent talk about their kids. So before coach, before all the other things, tell us about your kids, what they play, if they play anything, and what it's like being dad to them.
Oh man. Well, gosh, I got to start with mom, Mrs. Ballgame. She's the best. She's the brains of the operation. So an atta girl to her. Avery Jean came first. She's now 11. Aubrey James is 7. And I'm a dance dad. They love dancing, so it's a nice shift for me from coaching ball to going to these competitions where they're getting dolled up. I will say, growing up in a house of boys, I never knew how much anxiety can be had in the mornings with makeup, hair, all the things, fingernails. But I'm learning, and I just love being their dad, and they are starting to get into softball a little bit, which is great. So I get to take my own advice as a dad of some softball players. But same thing when they go dancing. I just say, I love watching you play, and I never turn down a game of catch. I let them ask, but if they want to play, boom, I'm gone. I got to go play catch with them. Same thing with me and my dad and my older brothers. Like, I would ask to go play catch, and they never turn me down. So I learned from the best. And yeah, I would say for my daughters, their love language is presence, being very present and watching them do little things. So I put the phone down when they're home from school, and as best I can, I just try to be there with them, watching them, listening to them, and present, because that's when they feel safe and they know that they've got a great dad, when I'm fully invested in what they're doing. So yeah, they're my reason for being.
Yeah. We got lucky. So my daughter's a dance girl as well. She's soccer and dance. Our recital's in 2 days as we record this. So when this comes out, it'll be the weekend before. And we got lucky because she's a dancer who doesn't give a crap about makeup. When when they had pictures,
Hard to find.
My wife took her to picture, like the studio pictures or whatever. She rolled up, and every single one of the girls in her class, they're all dolled up. One of the moms has the big dance bag with all the makeup. Liv didn't want a single thing. She's got her hair in like a little ponytail. She's ready to go. Like, I'm like, okay, I can be that type of dance dad. I don't know how I could do the other stuff.
No doubt about it. Well, good on you. And it definitely was striking, the first competition I went to, just to see how invested parents are in that world. Not dissimilar to youth baseball or softball, but with my gig, I don't go to tournaments, or I don't feel the feels of trying to win an 8U game or anything like that. So getting in there and seeing it, feeling it. Here's what I love about that world is they work so hard for months to synchronize this dance, and then they put it up in a huge high leverage moment in front of judges who are judging their every move. What a great experience for them. Down the road, they're going to lean on that when they're applying for a job or trying to make a big decision. So I love the hard work, pays off, and you build this team. And then I love the life lessons that come from being in the spotlight.
Absolutely. You mentioned that the girls are starting to play softball. And you said 11 and 8, is that right?
11 and 7.
11 and 7, okay. So one of the things we hear a lot is if you don't start your kid playing a ball sport, baseball, basketball, softball, at like 2 years old, they're going to get behind. And so has your 11-year-old felt that pressure at all of maybe she's a little behind, and or has she been able to jump in and pick it up?
100%. She is definitely felt like a fish out of water starting the game at 10. We started her easy at the age of 10 with fall ball because it's a little more laid back in fall ball. But she raised her hand. She wanted to give it a try. Now, at the age of 11, she's thinking, I don't know. That was a little overwhelming, and I'm noticing that these 11-year-olds during spring, they've got 2 bats coming out of their bag, and eye black, and they know what they're doing. So it's a big reason why I started what I do, which is kind of happy baseball and softball, where that kid in blue jeans who's very interested in the game but feels overwhelmed. Maybe they had a bad experience, a coach that painted a negative picture of the game in their brain, or they just never gave it a try. They thought it was boring. I created an alternative to it. The Sandlot is show up, get a nickname, and let's see if we can have a birthday party and maybe learn a few things in the process. But with that said, I don't really take it too seriously. I think we've got to inject common sense into that elite space as well. When you ask a major leaguer, when you ask a Jenny Finch or a Christian Yelich, hey, what's your advice to an elite 10, 11, 12-year-old player? They're going to say, well, find a coach that sees life big picture. It tries to make you a wonderful mom or dad one day, a great adult, and is focused on skill development and character development and joy. The wins, that can be a byproduct of everything, but if you're playing the long game, big picture, that's a great coach. And play other sports. If your goal is to play high school softball, well, that high school coach is looking for a great athlete who has high character. And the only reason I was able to play outfield in college is because I played football in high school. I played basketball in high school, and I was able to adapt. I was a shortstop, a first baseman in high school, but when I got to college, freshman year at Brown University, there were studs playing shortstop, studs playing first base, seniors. I'm not beating them out. There was an open spot in right field, and I said, well, I was a free safety in football. I was a point guard in basketball. I got a shot. That's what you need. You need a great athlete who wants to be a good person. And then if they absolutely love showing up early and staying late at the age of 18, you've done it. You've gotten there. That burnout thing is real. So if you're chasing a win at age 10, 11, and 12, expect that 17-year-old to quit or at the very least not want to go fishing with you or hang out with you because it felt like work when they were a kid.
And that's even worse, the fact that they don't want to hang out with you. Like,
it's a lose-lose.
Forget
they
the rest
lose love
of it.
The game. Yeah, I talked to Kirk Gibson, name drop salute, and I asked him that question. And Gibby said, yeah, it's a lose-lose. They're going to lose the love of the game because you're micromanaging, overbearing, 8 practices a day, 12 games a weekend. The car rides are miserable. I'm sure all of you listeners can relate to that. And they also don't want to be your best friend or ask you to be their best man in their wedding because what's attached to the two of you and when you hang out is all this negativity or micromanaging. So really, just make the car rides about you two, not about the game. If they really want to talk about the game, let them ask the questions. And maybe you've got a notepad where you wrote some notes down, but you never want to destroy your relationship over youth sports.
Over a game.
Yeah.
You mentioned the elite thing at 10 or 11 years old. Last week we talked to Steve Magnus, and he has the quote that there's no such thing as an elite athlete at 10 years old. Like before puberty, none of it matters. Like they could be good, but the idea of an elite athlete before they grow into their adult bodies, like it doesn't exist.
It doesn't. I mean, look at a Tom Brady who was a backup quarterback. He didn't really hit his stride until his first year in pro ball. Getting picked about as late as Shedeur Sanders, maybe even later. you have to look big picture. That's a drastic example.
Well,
of
let's
course,
use
but
you as the example. Like we were talking beforehand. Eastern Randolph Wildcats, state championship your freshman year. Was Coach Ballgame playing on varsity in that state championship game as a freshman?
I got called up. And I got there. I was a JV player most of the year, and then for the playoffs, I got called up to pitch, and I was the number 2 pitcher. Pitched game 2, pitched game 4, lost the championship game, but we had a best out of 3 and ended up getting a save in the finale in Raleigh at NC State. A very special time, but yeah, it takes.
Were you a better pitcher that year as a freshman, or was it your senior year once you grew into that 18-year-old?
What's funny is I pitched so much, and I had the best curveball when I was 12.
I see where this one's going.
That I got dead arm, and by sophomore year I went from like 87 to 81, and it was the writing was on the wall. I mean, you better become a position player. Good thing was I wanted to play every day. I was kind of over the pitching thing, but I was at my strongest freshman year. But I did get overused, and I had I was the best pitcher when I was 12, but I had nothing left when I was 16. So another reason why I go big picture here, and if you're a pitcher at that 10, 11, 12-year-old age, get on a throwing
Learn a change up, please. Learn a change up, please, for the love of God. Learn a change up.
Let your high school and college coaches teach you a great breaking ball, but learn how to spot your fastball, the 2-seam, the 4-seam. Learn how to pitch with that and a change up first, and then if your goal is to pitch in the major leagues, that double-A coach, that single-A coach, that coach on the backfields in Arizona, they're going to teach you an incredible breaking ball. But yeah, if you're chasing a win, if you're chasing a trophy at that young age, the cons outweigh the pros by so much. And I've made it my mission to figure out why. Why do parents do that? Why do they get anxious at their kids' games? And why do we chase these youth trophies? And what I've come up with is we don't want to see our kids fail, which makes a lot of sense. You don't want to see your kid fail. That you see how hard they work. You don't want to see them fail. But ultimately, that's the best tool you can give them, is that tool to overcome failure, to respond when they get punched in the mouth. Because down the road, that could be a life or death tool they know. The game is never life or death. But down the road, they're in a tough situation. They're being tempted by friends to make a bad decision. Maybe they've gotten fired from a job or cut from a team. That tool you gave them on a 10U baseball field, they're going to lean on it. They're going to text you and go, man, I almost made a terrible decision, but I appreciate how you made me a good person, Coach. That's what you want as a youth coach. You want that 18-year-old to text you and say, hey, thank you for the man, for the woman you've created with me. So, yeah, I the anxiety is a real thing.
I got a note at the end of the soccer season this year from one of my players, 9-year-old girl, and it's a handwritten note talking about like how thankful she is of me and how she wants to be a pro, and she's not going to be a pro, but like she loves the game of soccer now, and like she made me these bracelets, and it's like if a 9-year-old is giving you the bracelet and the note at the end of the season, like I don't care how the results went. The fact that this girl who cries at the drop of a hat when she thinks she did something wrong, she made me a bracelet that says best coach. And she wrote me a note telling me
if you could be the coach, if they want to come back next year and they want you to be their coach next year,
she's sad she's moving up because I can't coach her next year.
Yeah, like that's an A+. You've done your job. You could go 0-14. Let's hope not, but it's not the end of the world if they want to come back next year and they want you to be their coach. On top of the chasing trophies thing, with the anxiety of watching their kid fail, you don't want that, but also living through our child. We've got to put our own oxygen mask on first as parents and look in the mirror and reflect. So have some self reflection. Be honest. Like, why am I antsy? Why am I pushing this kid so hard to win these games? Why do I care so much? Probably has a lot to do with failures in your own life, trauma in your own life. I definitely came out of the gates as a coach with that mentality. I was insecure as a coach, and I was trying to create the next Mike Trout, and if they weren't doing what I asked, or they looked like they were disinterested, I would weed them out. Let's create this amazing winning 8-year-old team. But I had a mentor that put his arm around me, and he said, hey, you've got the energy of 50 humans and 28 camels. But that kid hates baseball now because of you, because of the way you spoke to him. And we should be in the business of reeling them in. The numbers say that nobody you coach in your life will make it to professional sports. I've coached over 150,000 kids over 21 years. I've seen one major leaguer, a pitcher for the Cubs right now. But they all became adults. They all went to college. They all tried to get that job or become a doctor, a husband, a fireman, a server of their community. You have to look through that lens. And as parents, easier said than done.
So I'm working on the Healthy Sports Parents book right now.
Attaboy.
And so you talk about your own search for trying to find why. And here I'm going to give you my thesis. I'll give Coach Ballgame the idea what I think it comes down to.
Bring it. I'm learning.
I think it comes down to two things: self-love and self-glory at our core. Beyond all these other things, it's our desire for self-love and self-glory.
Yeah,
Self-love
we all want to
is
be loved. We all want to be popular and praised. Yeah.
So self-love, dictionary definition, is regard for one's own well-being and happiness. And self-glory is an often unjustified feeling of being pleased with oneself or with one's situation or achievements. So below all the anxieties, below all the other things, it's our desire to feel good about ourselves, that the kid we produced and created is having success because we feel like we had a piece of that. Yeah. And it's that inside of us that unchecked, unrealized leads to all the craziness on the field.
Yeah, I love that. I'm stealing that, writing that down. I think we've got to change.
I'll get you to write a blurb for the book when it comes out.
Bring it. We've got to change the definition of winning in our own mind. If winning is just what the scoreboard says, I think that's an empty and incomplete version of winning. What kind of father are you creating? What kind of life lessons are you teaching through overcoming adversity and kindness, hustle, effort? That's what should be awarded right there. But yeah, change the definition of winning to I wonder if this kid's going to be a student council leader or a valedictorian one day because of me, or save somebody's life, or change somebody's flat tire when they see him on the side of the road one day because of how I led by example. So yeah, it is a lot of self, just a need for joy, and here's the best quote I've ever heard: detach your joy from their results. And they need to know that. They need to know that your joy is detached from their results. Now, I'm going to let my daughters know if they're not being a good teammate. We're going to have a chat. If they're not hustling, if they're not listening to their coaches, we're going to have a chat. That's the lens my parents look through as well. The only time they got upset with me is if I argued with an umpire or just made bad choices. The 0 for 5, the 5 for 5, they were treated equally. It's baseball, it's softball, it's sports. But
if you're winning every game, something's wrong.
Yeah, you're not learning anything. There's winning, and then there's learning. I don't think there's any losing. Hunter Pence said that at the major league level. You win and you learn. Giannis says that in the NBA. We learn so much from our failures. It's so true. Embrace the failure. When you create a culture of freedom to fail, you're going to see a lot of aggressive mistakes, but they're going to love the big moment. You know, I had I had a dad that never made it feel life or death. Just chilled out in a Hawaiian shirt and a lawn chair during games and smiled. And the big moments I craved. And I had lots of RBIs and big home runs and big moments because my dad wasn't by the dugout micromanaging every move I made. The car rides were never about baseball unless I was like, Dad, why'd I strike out? Can you tell me? He's like, I got a few ideas. We'll work on it in the backyard tomorrow. But he got it. And I coach that same way.
On that front, on the micromanaging, on the car ride home, you put out a video end of last year in the fall that I have referenced so many times. And you started it with maybe the best hook I've ever seen on an Instagram or TikTok reel. Right. You said, you want your kids to quit playing video games? Yeah, which, of course, every parent is going to listen to that. And you said, here was your suggestion. You said, sit beside them while they're playing and micromanage every move they make. Make sure you're overbearing, then break down every mistake they make afterwards, preferably during a car ride. Make that car ride as miserable as possible.
Well, I don't think people understand that something exists until they see it. Yeah. It's like with my sandlots. A lot of people don't think happy baseball exists until they come and they watch these kids jumping and dancing and laughing and performing very, very well all at the same time. Kind of like the Savannah Bananas. You play better when you're feeling joy. Same thing here. Common sense doesn't exist until you see it. And that's the power of video these days, is somebody doesn't believe it until they see it in video. And just striking up that note, I knew as I started creating content, if I came from a cynical place or a negative place or an angry place, it wouldn't get heard. I've always been a fan of humor. Saturday Night Live is where I learned a lot about the news. So I create content kind of like that, where there's a serious point that needs to get come across, but hopefully I do it in a consumable way. And I stole that from my buddy Dan Spring, who taught me a lot about coaching kids. He lives in LA, and we went to Brown together, played baseball together. We're in a band together, and he said, "Hey, if you want your kid to quit playing video games, then what would you do? You'd tell them that's the wrong button. Don't push that button. No, push the B button, not the A. Yeah. No, let me show you how to do it. Let me show you how it's done. Now let's get in the car and let's unpack the whole thing." It's
such a good
satire
works for a reason.
How is this novel, right? Yeah. But how is it novel?
Yeah. We wouldn't you want your kid to be bad at math? Sit over their shoulder and why'd you divide it that way? Why'd you write it that way? Why aren't you using the way that I was taught when I was 17 years old? Why aren't you using what we learned? And come on, it's with anything.
It is. So I appreciate that. I'm glad you responded to that video. A lot of people did. And once I started trying to solve a problem for a parent each morning, when I create content and write scripts out, that's when my purpose it really grabbed me. I need to help this dad. I need to help this mom any way I can, because I've got 50-year-old friends who get extremely nervous over a putt when they're golfing, and they can track that anxiety to when they were 10 years old, and their dad was putting pressure on them in a heated moment. I mean, that's real. That it lasts forever. And this dad who yells and micromanages, good intentions, right? Yes. They're present. They want the best out of their kid. They want to let them know, I'm here for you.
And I want what's best for you.
I want what's best for you. It's incredible intentions. What I try to do with that kind of parent is say, hey, thank goodness you're here. Thank you for being here. Your energy is unmatched. Will you come on board, help be an assistant coach with me? And throughout the season, maybe I can slowly put a few rocks in their shoe.
Yeah.
And they can just soak up my energy a little bit and go, man, why is Ballgame never like yelly? Why does he sit in a lawn chair? Why is he playing the drums? Why is he giving out baseball cards? Why does he always sound positive? Because it works. It really does. And I'll finish with this. In this either or society where it's either you're trying to win a tournament or you're soft, participation trophy, you're not setting him up to be an adult. That's ridiculous. Anything with common sense is both and. Both. We're going to try and prioritize joy, character development, and make sure the kid wants to come back next year. And we're going to go try and get some hardware too. I think they both can exist. Both and, not either or.
I absolutely love that. You're speaking my language with that. I have a T-shirt that says "Youth sports are not about winning," that I will wear to games. And my assistant coach for the past 2 seasons in soccer is former Marine, the fire chief of the next town over, like gruff dude. He's like all about like he's that style of dad, like that you're talking about. And it was funny because like when I first started saying stuff like that, he would kind of jokingly whisper stuff. It is about winning, like to the players, like, and so I just pulled him along. Earlier or end of this past season, last game of the regular season, I wore that shirt to practice to the game. And he's like, "Man, get that shirt off." I was like, "Hey, you missed practice on Monday." We had a long talk because the kids were so worried about the score last week that they stopped doing the things that we were supposed to do. So I went Ted Lasso on them. We talked about the goldfish. We talked about earning the right to win, which is what the football coach in college taught that I worked for taught me. And so we had a long talk about all of the other things we need to worry about other than the scoreboard. And when I told him that, he's like, "Oh, okay, keep that shirt on." But like in the span of 2 seasons, this guy who was totally against that idea learned that, it's not necessarily about the scoreboard. And it's because I'm convinced most parents want to do better. They've just never taken the time to either study it or no one has taken the time to teach them why the other things matter.
Yeah. Well, and that wouldn't have happened. That change wouldn't have happened in that coach if you hadn't built trust with him. Like you brought him along. You didn't yell at him right away when you're like, "Whoa!" No, you brought him along. You probably had a few coffees with him or some adult beverages. You had some barbecues, and you built trust with him. And then when the truth bomb needs to be spoken, and this is for players and parents, they don't hear it as anger. They don't hear it as you're a failure. They hear, wait, this is somebody I really trust that is challenging me to make a better decision.
Who I know loves me.
Exactly. So no significant learning happens without a significant relationship first, and that's with kids and adults. So good on you for building that trust and communicating in a healthy way. Basically, if you would have said, "Don't yell at these kids," while I yell at you, right? It ain't gonna work. So I think every bully has a bully, and that's kind of how I look at it. Like everybody who comes from a toxic, negative place, there's trauma there. There's something underneath that, and hurt people do hurt people. And to stop that cycle, you got to build trust, and you got to lead by example. Also, I think that's a huge one. When I see a very yelly, toxic, antsy person, I know it's going to be months before we can have a good chat, and I can give him some truth serum. Hey. Drop a truth bomb on them. It's not effective. I love that you're here, but your kid performs a lot better when you're not here. But we want you to be here to watch your kid. This is just not productive. So I try to bring them along with nice trust, build up that trust. I had a great moment at a Sandlot where a kid was up to bat, and there was one of those dads just pacing, fidgety, commenting on every body part and pitch, knees, feet, elbow, you can do it, good eye. And after this fourth pitch, the kid, who's like 8, just turns around, looks at Dad and says, "Dad, you're making it way worse."
So
just straight up looked at Dad, had to be super hard to do, but said, the talking, making it way worse, Dad. And if you create this two-way street with your kid, like, hey, what kind of fan do you need me to be for you?
my daughter has told me not to yell stuff on the sidelines when she plays soccer. We had the conversation.
Because it gets them out of their flow state, gets them out of their groove. So,
but can I tell you something?
Yeah.
The cool thing about that, the two-way, so my daughter plays, she plays defense in soccer. And she's 9 years old, so still in that U10, U11 age, where they're not quite sure where to stay on the field. I'm not allowed to coach her during games, which is hard coming from coaching my son to her games sometimes. It takes a minute to switch. But we have developed code words. If I say strawberry to her, she knows she's drifted a little too far and to come back. So it's not me yelling stuff out to her, but it's like we have this code because we've had the off-field conversations. Daddy, I don't like it when you tell me what to do. All right, cool. What can I do to help you during a game? And so we talked about, like, when I see something, like, do you want me to help you? Do you want nothing? She goes, well, I do want you to help me so I can make sure I do it right. But I was like, all right, well, what if I yell strawberry? And that can be I said, what can our code word be? And I let her think of the code word, strawberry. Okay, so anytime I say strawberry on the field, she knows to start coming back a little bit, and I don't have to yell at her. It's just strawberry, strawberry.
Oh, I love that. The code word is huge because there are definitely moments in game when your kid is requesting for you to remind them about something technical, and a fun code word is huge. Phil Collins, the great drummer and singer for Genesis.
How did we go from Gibson to Phil Collins?
Bang. Yeah, just stay with me. His son is an elite professional drummer. Okay. But he did not teach him how to play drums. He did not sit him on his lap and show him every move. He said, I would just occasionally come up to him and say, "Hey, you want a secret?" And he called them secrets. And occasionally, whether that's 4 on the floor or what to do with his foot or what to do with his left hand, he would just drop secrets here and there. So he's allowing his son to have his journey. But he was just dropping in that code word secret. So I love that where you're, but it started with you asking her, "Hey, what do you need from me? You need me to sit in the car? You need me to..."
At practice, she's requested that. She likes to have her time with her friends at practice. And here's the thing, it's not because she doesn't like me being around. I am so present at other things. I've been able to create a business where I can show up. Like, I'm going to field day tomorrow. I asked her if she was okay with it. My baseball coach is her PE teacher now. So I'm going to help him do the water slides at field day tomorrow. And I was like, "Hey, Liv, are you okay if I do this?" "Yeah, sure." It's like, she knows I'm there. She knows I want to be there, to the point where she feels safe in us saying, "Dad, I'd like this hour with my friends with just us."
That's great. And that's a very key point, is you're present when it matters, right? You're taking them to school. You're helping them with their math homework. You're building that bunk bed. You're there for them, watching American Idol with them on the couch. But sometimes it's their space, that they want their friend space.
And kids need that. Especially when
do.
Your daughter's 11, that upper elementary shift where they're starting to get a little more independent. They need that space to be their own kid with their own friends.
Yep, and I know some people think of that as that's weakness. You're actually allowing the kid to run the program and tell you what to do. No, you're not. You're both wanting the same thing. You're both wanting them to succeed, and you're giving them a voice. You're empowering them to figure out what steps need to be made to get there. I think it's a strength.
All right, so that was the audio issues that we talked about in the intro. So we got two more questions for you, Coach, before we get you out of here, because we know you have a lot going on. You talk a lot about, or you work a lot with youth coaches, and there's some new data out from First Tee, which is an organization with the PGA Tour. They surveyed about 600 parents, and they found that 89% of parents believe their kid's coach impacts their ability to work with others. We've talked about that a little bit. 89% believe the coach impacts their ability to respect others, and 88% believe they impact their child's ability to be resilient in the face of challenges. At the same time, though, 71% say there's a shortage of high caliber coaches today. 69% say there are not enough female coaches or mentors in youth sports, and only 55% say their child has received excellent coaching. We know that coaches are such a big deal. You and I are both coaches as well. But it's so hard to find coaches who do it the right way, or just parents who will step up and coach in general. So what are you seeing as the biggest issue facing youth coaches or keeping people from wanting to step in?
I think the best of the best youth coaches are a little afraid to step out there. Maybe they've never played before. Possibly they've never even worked with kids before. But they have the right mindset. That they are the most patient. They're the most kind. They lead by example. So what I try to do as I go from town to town is just let them see it for a little bit. And then we have a conversation after the camp where I inspire them. Hey, we need you. We need great coaches. It's a pretty thankless job. You're not getting paid, but I would argue it's the most impactful job you'll ever have.
That bracelet, dude.
Exactly.
Like that bracelet. I've got a couple things over here on my. I lose money on coaching every year because I buy gear to help things out, or I buy ice cream. Like I lose money.
Yeah.
But that bracelet.
There you go.
Worth it.
It's not even close. The impact is the currency, and I love seeing these former major leaguers who have tried to just stay away and watch from a distance, and then they go, "Oof, my kid's hating baseball because of this coach," and they do something about it. We always say, "You are the superhero you've been waiting for." So. Just give it a go, because the alternative is they don't play any longer and they don't learn any life lessons. They don't learn how to be resilient. They don't learn how to be kind or be a good server of their community. So I try to take the pressure off by showing them 3 hours of a birthday party, and then they go home and they're like, I think I can do that. I think I can ask questions to kids and give them nicknames based off things they love. I think I can break them up into small groups and create stations that move where we're learning different skills. I think I can do a fun scrimmage where we're playing with different objects, maybe hitting with a broomstick or playing with a volleyball instead of a baseball. Like the idea that, that's for somebody else, it doesn't have to be. No, baseball was created with a lemon and a stick, and you find some trash and you go play. So, that's what I try to do. But again, people don't think it exists until they see it. So that's why I travel and I show them.
What's your favorite part about the travel? I know I didn't put that in our notes, but what's your favorite part of getting to see the world and seeing all this?
Man, it's fun to eat different food. I love golf. I love golf, so I love to see different golf courses. But my favorite thing is the coaches clinic after the camps, where I'm meeting the hearts and souls of different communities, and I'm finding that common thread of there are great humans in every town, and they care about their community, and they want to educate themselves on how to teach love of play, how to engage kids, what to prioritize, how do I communicate with parents, how can I make these kids want to come back? They're very interested in that, and they want to educate themselves. So that's my favorite part. I love being in Arlington, Texas, and some big fireman with a huge mustache comes up to me and he says, "Hey, Coach Ballgame, I used to be that dad. I used to yell. My kid hated the game. I watched one of your videos, and I now me and my son, we love hanging out. Like you've made our relationship a lot better." I mean, that's
how often have you cried?
That's gold, man. Well, all the time. When I hear that one, it's like, come on, you can't. It doesn't get better than that when you've caused a son to fall in love with their dad again. You know, that's a big one. And hey, moms, sometimes they can get anxious too. So they're hearing it as well, and they're taking notes as well. So it's not just dads and sons, it's dads and daughters, it's moms and sons. You just want them to enjoy the dinner table a little bit more, and enjoy those vacations with each other. That's the best part of the whole thing.
Last question for you. I like to end every episode on an encouragement. And I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit because you're the last episode before the summer break of the podcast. So as families hear this, as parents hear this heading off into summer, what's your encouragement for them over the summer?
Well, me and my daughters just went to Maui, and there are 4 weeks out of the year where Daddy doesn't work. Daddy's not Coach Ballgame. He's just Dad. And we build sandcastles, and we go snorkeling, and we maybe visit their grandparents or go climb a mountain. Find those moments. Find those lifelong memory moments where there's no sports being played. It's something completely different. Put your phones away during dinner. Put the iPads away. Like, make it a rule, and play games. Play like name games, or some kind of game where you're just looking at each other and you're listening to each other, because it's over super fast. So find those moments and grow closer, because man, it's gone before you know it. So soak up the awkward silences and slow things down as best you can. That'd be my advice.
Coach Ballgame, thanks so much for joining us today.
Attaboy, Coach. Great talking to you, and we'll see you on the road.
That's it for today's episode. If you like the show this week, make sure you pick up Coach Ballgame's new book or get your kids signed up for his Sandlot Tour if it's coming to you. You can get the book or find those dates at coachballgame.com. I'm actually hoping to make it out to one of the Sandlot dates later this fall. This episode is going to be the last episode of season 1. Just like your kids need a break, I need a break as well. So I'll be taking the summer off to rest, recharge, and plan out season 2 of the podcast, which will be kicking off sometime around when school starts for a lot of us in the middle of August. I'll still be on social throughout the summer, so we can hang out there as we go. In the meantime, I'm going to invite you to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube so you can get the first episode of season 2 when it comes out. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, it would be a huge help for you to write up a small review. If you're on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button as well. If this episode has helped you in any way, the best way you can help us grow the show is sharing this episode with a friend. Most of all, I hope you have a great summer. We'll keep hanging out on social. The podcast will be back in August. Have a great time with your kids, everybody. We'll talk soon.